This is Mission Control Houston here in the flight control room. A welcome visitor, Charlie Blackwell Thompson, the Artemis launch director who kicked off this mission with the flawless launch of the Space Launch System and the 4 Integrity astronauts back on April 1st. She's here visiting at the Johnson Space Center, currently talking to her ascent flight director, Judd Freeling, and the entry flight director, Rick Henfling, who will be on tomorrow to preside over Integrity's return to Earth. This is Mission Control Houston at a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 23 hours, 18 minutes into the flight of Integrity. Enjoying the views inside the crew cabin of the vehicle as the crew continues to work through entry preparations, documenting items that they're stowing on board, and reviewing entry procedures in advance of tomorrow's homecoming that will result in a splashdown off the coast of San Diego at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. We are just under 5 hours away from the next engine firing. It's a thruster firing of the reaction control system jets on Integrity. That's the RTC-2 burn, the return trajectory correction number 2 burn. It will be a brief firing of the RCS system to tweak and refine Integrity's orientation as it heads toward an entry corridor tomorrow over the Pacific Ocean and its plunge back into the Earth's atmosphere. Just to refresh folks, Christina Cook and Reed Wiseman returned home from their first missions in a Russian Soyuz vehicle for parachute-assisted landings in Kazakhstan. Victor Glover was on a Crew Dragon mission, so he was in a parachute-assisted splashdown on water. Jeremy Hansen, of course, flying for the first time. So this will all be brand new to him, although this crew has trained for all of this for the better part of 2.5 years.
Integrity Houston, for the burn conference, we are ready when you are.
Okay, Jackie, we're going to take 2 more minutes and then we'll call you back.
Sounds good.
This is Mission Control Houston, the burn conference referred to by Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in Mission Control is the discussion that's coming up, brief discussion regarding the elements of the soon-to-be executed return trajectory correction to burn, basically a burn of short duration from the reaction control system on the vehicle that will fine-tune Integrity's path towards its entry corridor over the Pacific Ocean tomorrow.
Jackie, we are ready to start the burn conference.
All right, for our RTC2 burn pad, we think you have V1 UTC of generation day 99, 11:30. Please confirm.
Confirmed.
All right, just a couple of deltas for you in the guidance solution. Delta V tote will be 5.2 T-go of 9 seconds. Delta V components X negative 3.2, Y negative 0.8, and Z 4.0. How copy?
Copy all.
In the burn execution steps, there is no change, but we wanted to share the comment that if we determine interim targeting is required, we can run that from the ground. You all will be during your PAO event.
Copy.
And then we do have a couple of burn notes for you. The first is a clarification, actually a delta to the first line for tank pressurization. Tank pressurization will not occur during the burn config segment, and the burn will be performed in blowdown.
Makes sense. Copy.
We gave you a go earlier for venting ops, and We do have an OpNav pass coming up that we do not want venting during. The MET of that time frame is day 8, 0 hours, 40 minutes, to day 8, 2 hours, 0 minutes.
Copy.
And then finally, this is a little bit of a contingency information for you, but if you were to lose comm before, during, or after this burn, we've got a couple of burn plan pointers for you. If for some reason the nominal slot 4 burn plan does not converge during any of the pre-burn targeting, we want you to use ground targets. And after the RTC2 burn, if PCL and the RTC3 targeting does not converge, we've put a burn plan called Recovery 1 into slot 5. That removes a constraint on EI, and it should ensure convergence.
Copy all.
That is everything Houston has for the burn conference. Anything for us?
Negative. We're all good up here. Thank you.
All right, we're good to go, and there's absolutely no rush, but when there's a good moment, we would love a sync on cabin config.
This is Mission Control, Houston. You're continuing to watch the activities of the Integrity astronauts on board their spacecraft. Now less than 2 hours away from reaching the midway point on their trip back from the moon. Splashdown schedule for Friday night at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, at a point to the southwest of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. The USS John P. Murtha, the recovery ship, is in place, and barring some unforeseen development, will be deploying Navy helicopters and Navy divers and recovery personnel to extract the 4 astronauts from the spacecraft within an hour after splashdown, hoist them into 2 hovering Navy helicopters and fly them back to the deck of the ship, where they'll undergo extensive medical exams before they're flown back to shore and ultimately back to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. The conference you just heard between Capcom Jackie Mahaffey and the crew involving the specificities of the upcoming return trajectory correction burn number 2 that is scheduled at 9:53 p.m. Central Time tonight. It'll be a 9-second burn now. And this, again, fine-tunes the angle of attack and the path of Integrity's trajectory to hit the sweet spot in the corridor across the Pacific Ocean for entry interface and the high-speed return back to Earth for a parachute-assisted splashdown.
Houston, integrity TLT is about to be commanded.
Houston copies. We're ready. And Christina, we see a good solution. Thank you.
Integrity copies.
Integrity, Houston. Please check the connection for PCD3 when able.
We're on it. And we will be calling shortly for the sync on the cabin that you requested.
Sounds great. We're just trying to pull a few more images off that PCD, so we'll watch for it to connect.
This is Mission Control, Houston. 7 days, 23 hours, 53 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission, the lunar flyby of the moon that made history this week. The mission far from over, however. You are on board Integrity. On the left, Commander Reed Wiseman. In the middle, Victor Glover. Just behind Glover, almost out of the field of view, Christina Cook, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen on the right. The crew has been busy packing up their crew cabin today. They've been reviewing entry procedures for tomorrow's return to Earth. They'll move into a midday meal here just a short time from now. We will have a public affairs event at 6:50 p.m. Central Time, where the crew, a final PAO event in which the crew will have an opportunity to talk to a number of Congress people, members of Congress who will be gathered in various locations to have a chance to talk to the crew about their adventure around the moon and to offer their congratulations. Coming up at 9:53 p.m. is the return trajectory correction burn, RTC-2 burn. That'll be a 9-second firing of the reaction control system thrusters to further fine-tune Integrity's path toward an entry corridor, a cone, if you will, across the Pacific Ocean, in which they will enter tomorrow evening to begin the high-speed return to Earth and a parachute-assisted splashdown in the Pacific at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time on Friday evening. When Integrity and its 4 astronauts do splash down tomorrow night, the total distance traveled from launch to splashdown on this mission will have spanned 694,481 miles. That, of course, includes the high Earth orbit that Integrity was placed in through the launch atop the Space Launch System and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, the upper stage burn, that enabled Integrity to spend 24 hours in a high Earth orbit that reached about 43,000 miles at apogee, giving flight controllers here an opportunity to check out all of the critical systems, including the environmental control systems in the spacecraft, prior to the trans-lunar injection burn that committed Integrity to a free return trajectory around the moon and its current trajectory heading back to Earth. The trans-lunar injection burn was, in essence, also a deorbit burn of sorts, with the crew having been set on a pre-planned course through orbital and lunar mechanics that will result in its entry into the Earth's atmosphere and a splashdown in the Pacific tomorrow evening. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape. A little while ago, they participated in a entry conference with Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling, just basically to review procedures and to answer any questions that the crew might have of the flight control team. But we're working no issues here. Everything looking very good, setting up for the return trajectory correction burn that will occur 4 hours and 21 minutes from now. One other countdown clock that's ticking here in the mission control room is the halfway mark en route back to the moon. It is almost incongruous to imagine this, but here we are on the eve of homecoming for the Integrity astronauts, and we're an hour and 33 minutes away from reaching the halfway point en route back from the moon. It's just the way orbital mechanics works, that sets the course and the velocity and the entrapment of Integrity into the grip of Earth's gravity that dictates all of that. But again, we're about a little over an hour and a half away from reaching the halfway point back from the moon for the splashdown in the Pacific tomorrow night. The 4 crew members are scheduled to begin their 8.5-hour sleep period at 2:05 a.m. Central Time on Friday morning. The entry team will be coming on console at 10:30 tomorrow morning to begin a handover from the planning team, or the Orbit 3 team, if you will. The crew will be awakened at 10:35 a.m. to begin their final hours in space. We'll set off to final configuration activities for the crew cabin. The final burn, the RTC-3 burn of the reaction control system jets, that will be the final critical firing to complete the fine-tuning of their path towards entry interface. That RTC-3 burn on Friday is scheduled at 1:53 p.m. Central Time. The crew will move into its entry checklist just after 4 p.m. Our NASA Plus coverage, which will be the simulcast of our 24/7 YouTube coverage that you've been watching and listening to since launch on Monday. Our NASA Plus coverage will begin at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A communications link handover from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System will occur at 6:15 p.m. Central Time, just a few minutes before the crew module and service module separate. The European service module to pyrotechnically separate from the crew module at 6:33 p.m. Central Time on Friday night. 16 minutes later, at 6:53 p.m. Central Time, we will enter the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at peak velocity at some 32 times the speed of sound. At 6:37 p.m. there will be a raise burn. This is prior to entry interface. It's about an 18-second burn that will be refined in terms of its duration tomorrow. But the raise burn will gently nudge the aft end of the vehicle to properly align it to the right angle of attack for the entrance into the Earth's atmosphere, and to provide the lessening of a buildup of heat against Integrity's heat shield as it descends through the regions of the Earth's atmosphere. We will encounter a planned 6-minute communications blackout at about 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Again, this is due to the buildup of plasma around the vehicle, the ionization effect, if you will. This is typical of all high-speed entries back into Earth for any vehicle. In this case, it will last about 6 minutes. Once we regain communications with the crew, we will be just 7 minutes from splashdown, and we'll be initiating a rapid-fire succession of the deployment of series of parachutes. First, the parachutes that will pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle, then a series of drogue suits, and then finally 3 main parachutes that will slow Integrity's speed to just 19 miles an hour at splashdown. The USS John P. Murtha is on station, ready to begin recovery operations with helicopters, Navy divers, flight surgeons, crew surgeons, Navy surgeons, a whole flotilla, if you will, of recovery personnel. The key will be the erection of a large raft called a front porch that will be erected alongside the side hatch of Orion to enable the extraction of the crew one by one and the hoisting of the crew members onto the 2 hovering Navy helicopters overhead for a short flight back to the recovery ship, where they'll be brought into medical bay, for medical exams prior to spending some time on the ship, and the subsequent flight off the ship in helicopters to the Naval Air Station in San Diego, where they'll subsequently board a NASA jet for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center in Houston. So all of that is upcoming over the next 24 hours or so. But again, everything is in great shape on board Integrity, all of its systems ready to support its entry back into the Earth's atmosphere and its splashdown off the coast of San Diego at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset tomorrow night. This is Mission Control, Houston. 8 days, 26 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission. You've been enjoying the views inside the crew cabin. Christina Cook on your left, Victor Glover with his back to the camera, Jeremy Hansen on your right. Reed Wiseman is there as well. They've been working to pack up the crew cabin in advance of tomorrow's parachute-assisted splashdown of the Pacific off the coast of San Diego. Splashdown time scheduled at 7:07 p.m. Central Time Friday night, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
Houston Integrity, did you want to talk stowage now?
We are ready. In big picture, we're just looking for what IVA called a vibe check, how the day is going and how you feel going forward.
So we completed the stowage that was in the procedure 26.5.300. All of that went fine. And so really at this point, we'll probably have a little bit more uneaten food that we'll put in bag 7 is our plan right now, just depending on how much food we individually eat over the next day, I guess. And other than that, we're just sort of going through the cabin and putting things away as we're done with them and just looking it up on the Excel spreadsheet as to where to put them, the packing plan. And that's a bit tedious at times, but overall I think we have a handle on it.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for the status. A couple things for you. We have no problem helping you out if you're looking for something in the packing plan or just want a quick answer. Don't hesitate to call us. And we were also wondering how the water bag stowage went and just wanted to make sure that worked out well.
Okay, we just went around the group. Nobody had done that. I guess all of us were sort of thinking it was timeline somehow. So we'll go back to the daily summary and have a look at that. We can fit that in somewhere, but we haven't done it yet.
Jeremy, in the entry stowage prep activity, there is a link to the message that talks about the water bag stowage.
That conversation between Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in the flight control room and Jeremy Hansen on the right of your screen aboard Integrity, dealing with where items are being stowed for the trip back home tomorrow. We are still 1 hour away from reaching the halfway point on the trip back from the moon. The moon being the prime target for this mission and the historic lunar flyby that occurred by this crew back several days ago, that carried the crew behind the far side of the moon, flying within 4,000 miles of the lunar surface before beginning the trip back to Earth.
And then the other thing I have for you that just might simplify, as we take down all of the Nat Geo setup and the charging setup, is there a simple way that just all of that stuff can go in one location? So I'm talking about the USB charger, the field recorder, the GoPro Max, the Bogan arm for that, the microphone. Can all of that just go in one location, or as opposed to us having to look up where each of these items go? Plus, I'm also curious about the battery chargers for the D5s. They need to go somewhere as well.
Yeah, Jeremy, actually you have an activity on your timeline just after the midday meal block. Stand by. Hey, sorry. At the very end of the day, there is a Nat Geo stow activity, which, if you are done with that equipment, can be performed any time, and that should hopefully make that more efficient. And we are checking on the battery chargers for D5 questions.
That's helpful. And then what about, I think we'd like to leave, I'm kind of expecting we might want to leave the USB charger up tonight. Maybe not, but if we do, where can we put that quickly in the morning, including all of its charging cables?
Yeah, Jeremy acknowledged the current location isn't conducive to last-minute packing, so feel free to leave it out, the charger and the cables tonight, and by the morning we will have a specific suggestion for stowing those items.
Okay, and then the PCD power cable that we are using in PUP 2, same thing for that. Probably want to leave that out tonight, make sure we get all our PCDs charged, and then put that away as soon as we wake up.
We copy.
Again, ongoing discussions between Jeremy Hansen and Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in Mission Control as the crew packs up from a cislunar camping trip. This is very much akin to what you would do after a camping trip or a holiday vacation. There was no holiday involved here. It was simply an historic flyby of the moon that occurred several days ago.
Integrity, for Jeremy's final question about the battery chargers for the D5s, instructions for stowing that equipment is in a timelined activity on read at the end of the day called USB Power Strip Stow.
Okay, thanks, Jackie.
And one separate item for Christina, we have uplinked some additional files to all PCDs that she can find for her reference.
So with Integrity Systems in good shape and the crew nearing the halfway point between the moon and the Earth on its trip back to Earth, the crew is making a list, checking it twice. All the items that they're packing up right now for the high-speed entry back into the Earth's atmosphere tomorrow evening. Meanwhile, we're about 40 minutes away from a public affairs event where members of Congress will have an opportunity to talk to the crew, ask them a few questions. This is the final public affairs event of the mission that began with a launch at 5:35 p.m. Central Time, 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time, back on April 1st, with Integrity launching atop the Space Launch System, moving into a high Earth orbit that reached an apogee of 43,000 miles for the first 24 hours to enable flight controllers to check out all of its systems before the following day's trans-lunar injection burn that sent the crew en route to the moon and its flyby around the moon on a free return trajectory that is now carrying them back to Earth for their splashdown in the Pacific tomorrow evening. Less than an hour away from the midway point between the Earth and the Moon, there is the destination for Integrity's astronauts, the home planet of Earth. The velocity of Integrity will begin to speed up pretty dramatically in the morning. In the final hours of this mission, the crew will be awakened on Friday morning at 10:35 a.m. Central Time, 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll move into the final configuration of their crew cabin for entry. We have coming up in about 3 hours and 40 minutes the return trajectory correction burn number 2, a 9-second burn of the reaction control system thrusters that will further fine-tune Integrity's path toward an entry corridor prior to reaching the Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. There is a final RTC-3 burn, a return trajectory correction number 3 burn, at 1:53 p.m. TAC heading into the Earth's atmosphere for the crew. That will occur at 6:37 p.m. Central Time. Entry interface, the point at which the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere and feel the tug of gravity for the first time in 9 days. That's scheduled at 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time on Friday evening. A series of parachutes will begin to deploy to first pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle, then deploy drogue chutes and then the main parachutes, with splashdown scheduled at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset off the coast of San Diego. The weather forecast for splashdown is ideal, with winds less than 10 knots and wave heights very, very gentle. Almost ideal conditions for the return of these 4 crew members. This has been a fairly quiet day aboard Integrity, with the crew concentrating on stowing the crew cabin and reviewing their flight data file, conferring with Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling regarding entry and splashdown procedures, and making sure that all the equipment they need for their final hours in space and their high-speed entry back into the Earth's atmosphere tomorrow, that everything will be at their disposal. Once again, we're about 30 minutes out from our final public affairs event of this mission, a conversation between members of Congress and the crew aboard Integrity as we approach the halfway mark of their trip home back to Earth from the moon.
Integrity quick stowage thing. Just confirm for us there are only confirm the quantity of contingency urine stowage bags on board Integrity.
Jeremy, there are 3 total. You used 1 for potable water on the first day. We think you've used 1 for urine, and we think you have 1 empty. Integrity Houston, for your essay, the ground is going to do a round of intermediate targeting here shortly.
Okay, thank you for that, Jackie.
Just 38 minutes away from reaching the halfway point of the trip back from the moon, Integrity's astronauts are continuing to pack up all of the gear in their crew cabin for tomorrow's return to Earth. And we are about 20 minutes away from a public affairs event in which they'll have an opportunity to talk to members of Congress. All of Integrity's systems are operating in great shape. No issues being worked by the flight control team here in Mission Control. The day is beginning to wind down. However, there is one more critical burn on tap for this evening. That's scheduled 3 hours and 25 minutes from now. at 9:53 p.m. Central Time. That is the second in the series of 3 return trajectory correction burns, the RTC-2 burn, as it is called. This will be about a 9-second firing of the thrusters to fine-tune Integrity's path and angle of attack, simply tweaking its orientation towards an entry corridor that will take it toward its splashdown point off the coast of San Diego on Friday night. And once again, just to set the timeline straight for folks who are interested, the crew will go to sleep just after 2 a.m. Central Time on Friday morning, an 8.5-hour sleep period, with a wake-up call for their final hours in space aboard Integrity at 10:35 a.m. Central Time on Friday. At 1:53 p.m. Central Time, the final return trajectory correction maneuver, or burn, will be conducted. One final opportunity to sweeten the trajectory of Integrity towards its entry corridor over the Pacific Ocean. We will move into a communications handover from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System at 6:15 p.m. Central Time on Friday night. And a few minutes later, at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, the pyrotechnic separation of the European service module from the crew module will take place. Within 4 minutes after that, there'll be a so-called raise burn. This is an 18-second burn of Integrity's thrusters to tilt the angle of attack ever so slightly upward. The aft end of Integrity will be tilted upward, and that will complete the trajectory refinement for Integrity's path through the Earth's atmosphere. All of that designed to provide the best orientation of the vehicle in the minimization of heating on the heat shield of the vehicle. Time on Friday night. Just seconds later, we'll enter a planned 6-minute communications blackout because of the buildup of plasma around the vehicle that will block communication transfer from Integrity to the flight control team here in Houston. Once we emerge from that communications blackout and reestablish comm with the crew, then we're just minutes away from the series of parachute deployments, 11 parachutes in all, first to yank the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle, then to deploy drogue chutes, and then finally the main parachutes that will slow Integrity's rate of descent to a gentle 19 miles an hour at splashdown. As mentioned before, the highest rate of velocity, the peak velocity for the vehicle in its return back to Earth, should occur at about 6:54 p.m. Central Time tomorrow, when Integrity will be traveling.
For your scene and voice checks.
We are taking a look, and we'll take a 10 count.
Wireless mic, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off.
Copy blast off. Good scene and voice. We'll be ready on time.
Copy, thanks.
That scene and voice check, part of the routine procedures to set up for our public affairs event coming up in about 16 minutes, where members of Congress will have an opportunity to talk to the crew aboard Integrity. Once again, the peak velocity that Integrity will reach, according to flight dynamics, during its entry back to Earth, is about 23,839 miles an hour, or Mach 32. From that point, just 13 and a half minutes later, the vehicle will have slowed from that velocity down to just 19 miles an hour at touchdown. Splashdown again scheduled for 7:07 p.m. Central, 5:07 p.m. Pacific time on Friday night. The USS John P. Murtha, the recovery ship, is on station, ready to deploy Navy divers and other recovery personnel, Navy helicopters, fast boats that will erect a life raft, basically a huge raft called a front porch, alongside the capsule after splashdown and after airbags are inflated at the top of the capsule to maintain upright orientation for Integrity. After a period of time, the hatch will be open. The Navy divers, including a Navy surgeon, will move inside the vehicle to make a preliminary health check of the crew before they are extracted one by one onto the front porch and then be hoisted onto a pair of hovering helicopters for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John Murtha and to be brought into medical bay aboard the ship for more comprehensive medical exams. In all, at the time of touchdown, or splashdown as the case may be in this flight, the total distance traveled from launch to splashdown will have spanned 694,481 miles. That includes the high Earth orbit that Integrity was launched into for the first 24 hours of the mission to provide flight controllers an opportunity to check out all of its systems. Everything in good shape on board Integrity. The stowage of the cabin in preparation for the crew's homecoming tomorrow has continued in flawless fashion. No issues being worked here in the flight control room as the Orbit 3 team, or the planning shift, comes on to begin a handover.
Integrity, for that stowage for the water that we've just been working on, it says nadir. So can you just confirm you want it on the bottom underneath the other CTBs?
The Orbit 2 team of flight controllers is coming on duty for the second half of the crew's workday. They'll hand over overnight to the Orbit 3 team, which is the planning shift.
It's on the bottom underneath the other bags. And if you're looking kind of naturally at the lockers, it's the bottom left of Delta.
Okay. Yeah, that's how we interpret it too, so we'll do that. That's a bit more challenging, but we should be able to get it done. And the other thing is we could use a location for 2 more hefty bags. We got the ones that we've used today so far out of the containment bag.
Checking on the hefty bag location, and while I have you, just some vehicle essay. Your intermediate targeting was good, and GNC is syncing all nav channels to channel 3 and doing a primary to BFS state transfer.
Okay, Jackie, all that tracks.
Integrity Houston, for Jeremy and the hefty bags, you should find 4 additional hefty bags in one of the 2 JSBs that you've been using today.
Okay, we'll have a look. Houston Integrity, can you bring the fan speed down to our preferred PAO setting, and if it's already there, thank you.
It is there.
And we have the camera off just to prevent overheating and battery drain. Confirm you got a good image coming down.
We do have an image coming down.
You know, Jackie, snark does carry across the cosmos.
That delayed smile made me feel very good. Integrity Houston, for the live camera feed, we are getting intermittent dropouts, like maybe 2/3 of the time. Every few seconds it's dropping to black. We'd like you to check the encoder settings for HD, and if those all look good, then perhaps we need a camera swap. Copy, thumbs up.
Jackie, we confirmed all the settings were per the procedure. We have stopped and restarted the stream. We're prepping another camera. Please let us know what you'd like.
It does not seem to have helped the situation. We'd like to try the camera swap.
Doesn't work.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're standing by for the crew to complete the setup for the upcoming PAO event, in which they'll have an opportunity to talk to members of Congress. All this happening as we're just 17 minutes away from Integrity reaching the halfway point en route home from the moon, with splashdown scheduled off the coast of San Diego on Friday evening.
Jackie, new camera in place and wired up. How's it look?
We are checking.
Wireless mic audio check. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, Integrity, the audio from the mic and video are looking good. We'll be ready to start the event. Integrity, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Integrity. We are.
Administrator Isaacman, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Integrity for a voice check.
Check.
Integrity had a check, loud and clear. How do you have us?
Integrity, Jared, you're about 5x3 right now, but it's looking like it's stabilizing. It's great to chat with you again. And good evening, Artemis II crew, as you all approach your final day on this historic journey around the moon. The people of Earth remain inspired by your mission. They are energized by space exploration, and most importantly, they're eager to have you all home very soon. Now, NASA couldn't execute on our important mission without the steadfast support we received from the United States Congress. We work with the agency to make sure it has the right direction to expand American leadership in space and the necessary resources to execute on our world-changing mission. Now, we have several NASA congressional supporters online today, and they have a few questions they'd like to ask you on behalf of their constituents across the country. Our first question is coming from Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who spearheaded our One Big Beautiful Bill historic investment in America's leadership in space. The chairman is with me now at Johnson Space Center, and over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you, Jared. Integrity, this is Ted, comms check. I feel very official now. I will say I feel particularly profound. This is the first and only time in my life when I've stood next to someone who is speaking on behalf of the people of Earth. That's a heck of a statement, and I know that you guys are. I can only imagine the awe and wonderment you feel, but I want to just start by saying thank you. You are inspiring. That is not hyperbole when Jared speaks about the people of Earth. Across the planet, people are watching you and amazed, watching you put food packets away, as we were doing just a few minutes ago, watching you float around with the floating head, and you are bringing people together all across our globe. So thank you. Thank you for your good cheer. Thank you for your eloquence. Thank you for inspiring people. I have two questions. Number one, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself at age 10, what would you tell yourself about going to the moon? And then question two, if and when they make a movie about this, who do you want to play you?
Well, sir, it's an honor to be with all of you, and please say hello to all of our colleagues there at Johnson Space Center. We can't wait to be back. My 10-year-old self, I recently found some photos of myself on a family vacation at Kennedy Space Center, and we were posing in front of the Saturn V rocket with my siblings and my parents. And if I could have told that little girl who took home a picture of Earthrise and hung it in her room that she would eventually launch from that same place to see that same view, I'm pretty sure she would not believe it. But even though I still can't believe it, and she certainly wouldn't believe it, she chased that dream, and it ended up happening. It's such an honor to hear that we've inspired. That's truly one of the top things that we ever wanted to do. And I am definitely not answering the movie question. That's going to be for Reed.
Senator Cruz, it's great to talk to you, and thank you for visiting our friends and family there at the Johnson Space Center. That is fantastic. We've thought a little bit about the movie, and I think that's way out of our pay grade. So we don't know who's going to play us. That's up to whoever decides. But one thing we do know for certain is this guy is going to be played by Buzz Lightyear, 100%, no doubt.
Thank you so much, Senator Cruz. Our next question comes from Senator Maria Cantwell of Washington.
Hi, congratulations to NASA and the Artemis team. I want you to know I spoke to Ann McLean earlier today, and she said the 8 balls are all incredibly proud of you. This mission is a major investment in science and a testament to human achievement. The Orion thrusters were built here in the state of Washington, and I invite you all to come and see the innovation and the people that you've inspired. My question is, as Americans who've traveled the farthest and seen direct observations that are proving so invaluable, once we go back and land humans on the moon, what are we going to learn from the human eye that the moon rovers couldn't tell us?
You know, I hope this really resonates because of right now and what's going on back there, at least what we hear about going on back home and in our communities. I think you all can feel the energy that this mission has brought. I really hope so. And one of the things that I was asked to talk about when I come back by one of my good friends, Tony Antonelli, he said, I want to know how it feels. There's going to be tons of pictures, but I want to know how it feels. And I think a rover can collect data a lot slower, but the human's going to be able to do it much faster. But then they're also going to come back and tell you how it feels. But physiologically, in a technical and medical sense, but also in an emotional sense, so that we can continue to have that human connection, not just the scientific and exploration, but the human connection.
Our next question comes from Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas.
Good evening to all of you. On Monday, Administrator Isaacman and I visited the Cosmosphere in Hutchinson, Kansas. Commander, it's the place you told me was the best space museum in the world. I've repeated that many times. I'd like to extend an invitation to each of you to come visit us in Hutchinson and be my guest. But I also want you to tell me how you can see the Artemis II mission, as well as the Cosmosphere, inspiring the next generation for the well-being of the world.
Well, sir, I'll definitely take you up on that invitation because I have yet to see that museum, and I've just heard amazing things about it. So I look forward to that opportunity. And I hope that maybe something from this mission will end up in that museum at some point in the future. You know, as far as inspiration goes, I really think it comes down to just getting stuff done. And you can have an inspiration program, you can invest a lot of money in that, or you can have a program that just goes out and gets things done, like the Artemis program is doing. And then you can spend your inspiration program dollars on just disseminating that to the masses. And that is what I see happening here right now. I think we're knocking it out of the park.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is for Reed, comes from Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland.
Well, greetings to all of you. Reed, I had a special question for you because of your old alma mater. What would you say to a student attending your old high school, Delaney High School in Baltimore County, or to any other student in America who aspires to follow in your footsteps as an astronaut?
Well, Senator, it's great to talk to you. It's great to talk to you, especially from my home state of Maryland there. Lots of love. And I mean, this could be a huge answer, but most simply, I think that the students of today, they've got to be willing to fail. They've got to be willing to take some risk in their school. Straight A's, that might be important to some, but really expanding your horizons, going out and doing things that are difficult, things that scare you, things that you might have to try a few times before you get them right. That's all well and good, and that's a huge part of the learning process. And one of my biggest takeaways from life is it's not how well you succeed, it's how well you fail. And when you have a tough spot, you got to get up and get back on the horse and keep on going. And I think that's so critical for the youth across the nation and across the world today. Just keep driving and keep trying and keep innovating. Thank you.
Good advice. Thank you.
Next up, we have a question from Congressman Brian Babin of Texas.
Hello, Artemis II crew, Reed, Victor, Christian, Christina, and Jeremy. I'm so proud to represent the team at Johnson Space Center and supporting you every step of the way. The entire country is inspired by your work and your dedication. It's amazing. And my question would be, if you could relive one moment of this mission so far, what would it be?
Wow, we are all brainstorming, and it would be a lot easier if you had said a list of 5, but I'm actually going to go way back because the big contenders are the eclipsed moon, which was one of the most surreal things any of us have ever seen, and it literally rendered us speechless. But I'm going to go all the way back to launch, because when we launched, it is such a quick experience. Our entire powered flight on the rocket was shorter than what we've done in this press conference so far. Yet it is such an incredible, important part of the mission, a dynamic phase in the mission. We train it so much. And if I could go back and replay it in slow motion to just imprint those memories even more, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Our next question comes from... Our next up, we have Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren of California.
Well, hello, crew, and thank you for all you've done. You've inspired people all over the world, and Brian Babin and I work together on the committee to make sure you have support across the board. Your last 8 days have taken place in the Integrity Orion spacecraft. Now, integrity is a quality we all strive for and hope our leaders can live up to. This mission has been unifying in so many ways and captured a global audience. What do you hope humanity takes away from it?
Thank you for that question, and hello to everyone in California. I hope that we connect back to when we went to the moon the first time and we started calling big things that humanity accomplished moonshots, and we take ownership of this moonshot and realize that we can do it. And then we also think about the future and that this is just the beginning, and that there's nothing that we can't accomplish when we pull all of our differences together, not in spite of them, but when we pull them together and we work on something big for the good of everyone.
All right, next we have a question from Congressman Hal Rogers of Kentucky.
We're proud of you and proud of the tracking that's being done of your event at Morehead State University in eastern Kentucky. After emerging from the far side of the moon and seeing the entirety of the Earth through that small window, how has all of this impacted your determination for what America can accomplish in space?
It reminds you, first, just being, right now we're 106,000 miles away from planet Earth still, and we'll be home tomorrow. Part of this is just scale. It is unbelievable to think that we could build a international team led by the United States of America and set our sights out on a sustained presence on the moon and onto Mars, and then we can go and achieve it. And I know we did this in Apollo, and it was absolutely amazing, but I will tell you, having been there, the four of us having been there just now, this is nothing short of a miracle. It is incredible that we can go out and do this, that we can play with gravity, that we can target around the moon, that we can send 4 humans in a spaceship 250,000 miles from home and bring them back. There is nothing this nation cannot do when it has a vision. It just has the capability to go out and get anything done we want to get done.
All right, next up we have Congresswoman Grace Meng of New York.
Hello to our crew. This is Grace Meng from Queens, New York. Thank you to the administrator and thank you to our trailblazing crew. My question is, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Our entire country has been following your journey with pride, and we're incredibly grateful for your service. You've spent years in simulators at Johnson Space Center that recreated every vibration, system failure, cockpit light with high accuracy, and most of you have even been to the International Space Station. Now that you're almost home, what is the one thing that has surprised